There is a terrifying process happening inside the legs of millions of people over the age of 70. It is not visible from the outside. The skin looks normal, the muscles look fine, but underneath, the structures that keep you alive are undergoing a transformation. They are turning into stone. This is not a metaphor. I am talking about vascular calcification. Imagine your arteries. When you are young, they are like rubber hoses, flexible, elastic. They pulse with every heartbeat. But as you age, something goes wrong with your body's mineral management system. Instead of going into your bones, calcium starts to settle in the walls of your arteries. It forms hard, gritty plaques. Your flexible rubber hose turns into a rigid ceramic pipe. And when an artery turns to stone, it cannot expand. It cannot deliver blood, and your legs begin to suffocate. This leads to a symptom that is the biggest red flag in geriatric medicine. It is called intermittent claudication. Here's what it feels like. You are walking to the mailbox, or maybe you are walking through the grocery store. Suddenly, a cramping pain grips your calf muscle, or a heaviness settles in your thighs. It feels like your legs are made of lead. You stop walking. You rest for 2 minutes. The pain vanishes. You think, oh, I'm just getting old. My muscles are weak. You are wrong. This is not muscle weakness. This is angina of the legs. Just like chest pain signals a heart attack, this leg pain signals that your muscle tissue is screaming for oxygen. You are demanding blood flow, but the stone pipes cannot deliver it. And if you ignore this signal, the next step is not just pain. It is gangrene. It is the death of the tissue. And tragically, many seniors ignore it until they see their toes turning black. So why is this happening? Why is your body taking the calcium you eat and using it to cement your arteries shut? The answer lies in a single missing molecule, a nutrient that acts as the traffic cop for calcium in your body. It is called vitamin K2. For decades, we have been told, take calcium for your bones, take vitamin D. And you did. You drank the milk, you took the supplements. But without vitamin K2, that calcium has no GPS. It gets lost. It doesn't know how to get into the bone matrix, so it drifts through your bloodstream and it settles in the soft tissues. It settles in your heart valves, it settles in your kidneys, and it settles in the arteries of your legs. This is called the calcium paradox. You have osteoporosis, weak bones, and atherosclerosis, hard arteries, at the same time. Your bones are crumbling like chalk, while your arteries are hardening like marble. It is a physiological disaster. Let me introduce you to a patient named Arthur. Arthur is 72. He takes calcium supplements every day because he's afraid of breaking a hip. But Arthur can't walk more than 1 block without stopping. His doctor told him it was peripheral neuropathy, but his nerves were fine. Arthur's problem was that his arteries were so calcified they were visible on an X-ray without any dye. He was literally petrifying from the inside out. Arthur wasn't deficient in calcium. He was drowning in it. He was starving for the molecule that moves it. But calcification is only half of the story. Even if your pipes are open, or partially open, you still need something to flow through them. You need high-quality, oxygen-rich blood. And for many of you watching, your blood is thin. It is weak. Your nerves are dying, not because the road is blocked, but because the delivery truck is empty. You feel it as numbness, tingling, cold feet even under a blanket. Let's look at the second invisible killer, the famine that happens even when you are full. Let's talk about vitamin B12 and why your stomach acid is betraying you. Stomach acid is betraying you. Let's assume for a moment that your arteries are not completely blocked. Let's assume there is still blood flowing to your feet. So, why do you still feel that burning numbness? Why do your toes feel like blocks of ice even in the summer? Why do you feel pins and needles when you are trying to sleep? This is the second phase of the failure. It is not a plumbing problem. It is a fuel problem. Your nerves, the tiny electrical wires that run all the way down to your toes, are very hungry. They need a constant supply of oxygen and a protective coating called myelin. If they don't get it, they start to misfire, they short circuit. Eventually, they die. This is what we call peripheral neuropathy. And the molecule responsible for building that protective coating and for building healthy red blood cells to carry the oxygen is vitamin B12. Now, you might say, I eat meat, I eat eggs, I get plenty of B12. And 30 years ago, you would be right. But after the age of 60, the rules of digestion change. To absorb B12 from food, your stomach needs to be highly acidic. It needs a strong pH of around 1 or 2. But as you age, the cells in your stomach lining, called parietal cells, start to atrophy. You produce less acid. And if you are taking antacids or medication for reflux, you are shutting down that acid production almost completely. This creates a tragic situation. You are eating the steak, you are swallowing the B12, but it is passing right through you. You are starving in the midst of plenty. Without B12, your body cannot make healthy, round red blood cells. Instead, it makes giant, misshapen cells. This is called megaloblastic anemia. Imagine trying to push a basketball through a garden hose. That is your blood. These giant cells cannot squeeze into the tiny microscopic capillaries in your toes, so the oxygen never arrives. The nerves suffocate, and they scream in pain. Many seniors are prescribed gabapentin or painkillers for their foot pain. They are treating the scream. They are not treating the suffocation. If you have cold hands, cold feet, and a strange sensation like walking on cotton wool, you don't need a painkiller. You need to bypass your broken stomach. You likely need sublingual B12, a tablet that melts under the tongue and goes straight into the blood, or injections. But there is one more enemy attacking your circulation. It is not a deficiency, it is a toxicity. It is something that acts like sandpaper on the inside of your blood vessels. It destroys the very lining that keeps the blood flowing, and you don't need to be a diabetic to suffer from it. Let's talk about the rust in your pipes, the destruction of the endothelium, and the power of nitric oxide. Power of nitric oxide. So far, we have talked about the calcium rocks blocking the road and the empty trucks trying to drive on it. Now we must look at the road surface itself. The inside of your arteries is lined with a microscopic layer of cells called the endothelium. This layer is only 1 cell thick. It is incredibly fragile. When it is healthy, it is slippery like Teflon. But for many of you, this Teflon is being scratched off. It is being destroyed, and the weapon destroying it is sugar. You do not need to be a diagnosed diabetic to have this problem. Every time you eat a high-carbohydrate meal, every time your blood sugar spikes, glucose molecules attach themselves to the proteins in your blood vessels. This process is called glycation. Imagine taking a piece of coarse sandpaper and rubbing it on the inside of a delicate silk hose. That is what high sugar does to your endothelium. It creates thousands of microscopic tears. It makes the surface rough, sticky, and when the surface is rough, plaque sticks to it. Clots form on it. The smooth flow turns into a traffic jam. But the damage goes deeper. The endothelium has a superpower. It produces a gas called nitric oxide. This gas is the signal that tells your arteries to relax, to widen, to open up and let the blood flow. When you destroy the endothelium with sugar, you destroy the factory that makes this gas. Your arteries lose the ability to relax. They become stiff. They constrict. Your blood pressure shoots up, and your legs, furthest from the heart, get zero flow. So how do we repair the road surface? How do we patch the holes in the silk? We need the raw material of structural repair. We need collagen. And you cannot build collagen without vitamin C. Most people think vitamin C is just for the flu. They are wrong. Vitamin C is the glue that holds your cells together. If you don't have enough, your arteries literally develop micro cracks. It is a form of focal scurvy. Your body, in a desperate attempt to stop the bleeding, patches these cracks with cholesterol. So the cholesterol is not the enemy, it is the band-aid. The enemy is the cracking caused by a lack of vitamin C and the sandpaper of sugar. And once that band-aid is there, we need to stop it from rusting. That is where vitamin E comes in. Vitamin E is the bodyguard of your cell membranes. It prevents the cholesterol plaque from oxidizing, from turning rancid and hard. It keeps the patch soft until your body can heal the wall. So now we have the complete picture of the disaster. Calcified pipes, a lack of K2, anemic blood, and a destroyed road surface, sugar damage, and lack of vitamin C. But this is not a death sentence. This is a mechanical problem, and mechanical problems have mechanical solutions. You can dissolve the stone, you can rebuild the blood, and you can repave the road. But you need the right protocol. Let's look at the liquefaction protocol, the specific combination of molecules that reverses the statue syndrome. The specific combination of molecules that reverses the statue syndrome. The solvent, vitamin K2 and D3. This is the core of the protocol. You need to stop the calcium from turning your arteries into rock. But you cannot just take vitamin D alone. That is dangerous. Vitamin D pulls calcium into your blood, but vitamin K2 is the GPS that tells it where to go. Specifically, you need the MK7 form of vitamin K2. MK7 activates a protein called matrix GLA protein. Think of this protein as a microscopic street sweeper. It literally scrapes the calcium off the walls of your arteries and carries it back to your bones where it belongs. This is called arterial decalcification. Without K2, the calcium stays in the soft tissue. With K2, the stone dissolves. The rubber hose becomes flexible again. The fuel, methyl B12. To fix the numbness and the cold feet, we need to bypass your stomach acid problem. Stop relying on generic multivitamins. They use a cheap form of B12 called cyanocobalamin, which is hard to absorb. You need methylcobalamin, and you need it in a sublingual form, a lozenge that dissolves under your tongue. This goes directly into your bloodstream. It repairs the myelin sheath around your nerves. It shrinks those giant red blood cells back to normal size. And suddenly, the oxygen delivery trucks can fit down the tiny roads in your toes. The tingling stops. The warmth returns. The expander, nitric oxide boosters. Finally, we need to widen the road. We need to help your damaged endothelium produce that relaxing gas. You can do this with diet. Beetroot, arugula, spinach. These foods are rich in nitrates. Your body converts these nitrates into nitric oxide. It is a natural vasodilator. It forces the stiff arteries to relax and open up. It's like turning a 2-lane road into a 4-lane highway. The conclusion. We have covered the 3 pillars of circulation. 1. Decalcify. Move the stone with vitamin K2. 2. Oxygenate. Fix the blood with vitamin B12. 3. Repair. Heal the wall with vitamin C and nitric oxide. Why does this matter? Because your legs are your independence. When you lose the ability to walk without pain, your world shrinks. You stop going to the store. You stop visiting friends. You stop traveling. You become a prisoner in your own home, and eventually you become a patient in a hospital bed. Do not accept heavy legs as a normal part of aging. Do not accept cold feet as just poor circulation. These are warning lights on your dashboard. Your body is petrifying, but unlike a statue, you are biological. You are alive. You can reverse the process. You can turn the stone back into flesh. But you must give your body the right tools. Start the protocol. Walk through the pain. Push the blood and reclaim the ground beneath your feet.